Greetings, I am Hot Toddy, and welcome to a special episode of Get Real. The reason why this episode is so special, and the reason why we are doing it, is because very recently, within the last few days, we have lost a magnificent actor, the late great Val Kilmer. I'm a huge fan of his. 3 of my all-time favorite movies starred Val Kilmer. Actually 4 if you count the sequel. So you can probably take a wild stab. The first one is here, Top Gun. Top Gun and its sequel, Top Gun Maverick, Tombstone, and the one that we're going to talk about on this episode of Get Real, the horribly mixed reviewed film that is Batman Forever. Kind of like the redheaded stepchild of Batman movies. Whereas like Batman and Robin is the movie that it's like the child we don't talk about. He lives in the basement, you pretend like they don't exist. But the thing about Batman and Robin is, out of all the Batman movies, it's not the worst. That's for sure. It's not the worst. Batman and Robin is without a doubt the worst Batman movie that was ever made. Batman Forever was just a goofy movie. It was not well structured, it was not well put together, but it's also brilliant in its own way. I don't know really how to explain it. It's both bad and good. I guess you could say it's so bad it's good, but I don't know. I think that's its own separate category. My thing is that I think it's a better film than what people give it credit for. There are a lot of issues with the film, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about specifically is Val Kilmer as the titular character, Batman. This may be a controversial statement. This may be a statement that you sorely disagree with. You probably already know what the statement is because it is the name of the video. But in my opinion, Val Kilmer, if not the greatest Batman, is definitely one of the greatest Batmen. Bat people. No, in all seriousness, Val Kilmer's portrayal of both Bruce Wayne and Batman, I think, stands above most.
You see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Not because I have to be. Now, because I choose to be.
Definitely above George Clooney's. And I would even say that it competes with Michael Keaton. You know, the thing about the role of Batman is it takes a specific actor to take on that role. It's very much like Superman, you know. Well, I guess really any superhero, it takes like that, you know, specific actor. But, you know, who else plays Iron Man? You know, who else plays Thor? Those are characters, those are superheroes that have really only had one major actor play them, and so that's who you identify them with. Batman never really had that until Michael Keaton came along. Michael Keaton took the role, and that's how we knew him. The only other way we really knew Batman up to that point was Adam West on the Batman TV show, and that was very campy, that was more fun for kids. And it's not that the Batman movies were not made, you know, suitable for children, they were just supposed to be a little bit darker. So who did they go with to play Batman in the original films? The Tim Burton ones, of course, it was Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton nailed the role. I think he did it very professionally, but he didn't. The thing about Michael Keaton is he's kind of a comedic actor. Overall, he's a comedic actor. I mean, when he took on Batman, he was coming fresh off of Beetlejuice. So that's kind of how we knew him. He was also in Mr. Mom and a bunch of different comedies throughout the 80s. So you knew him primarily as a comedic actor. He hadn't really dove really hard into his acting chops until he played Batman. So that was the standard. But then fast forward to 1995 and Batman Forever is coming out. Michael Keaton has stepped down because Tim Burton has stepped down as director. So who do they find? Val Kilmer. And then Val Kilmer filled the role. And I mean seriously, until the Christian Bale movies, Val Kilmer, I believe, was the standard. I think he was the Batman of the 90s. He just knew how to bring that brooding, you know, and just kind of downtrodden but a billionaire type person. I don't know how to explain Bruce Wayne and Batman specifically, but I feel like he was able to kind of combine that. Michael Keaton, though very good, I don't think could dig deep down enough to really explore the trauma that Bruce Wayne had dealt with as a kid. You could never really feel that. I mean, you did see that a little bit in the first Batman film, especially when he's facing off against the Joker at the end of the film.
You killed my parents.
What?
That was a very deep scene, but no one can really grasp it, in my opinion, better than Val Kilmer. And I think one of the reasons why is because they created a new character in Batman Forever, Chase Meridian. The psychiatrist, I believe she's a psychiatrist.
I don't care.
Played by the amazing Nicole Kidman. And she was the love interest in the film, but she also happened to be a doctor of the mind. And of course, at this point in this series of Batman films, Bruce Wayne cannot really function anymore because he's haunted so prominently by the death of his parents. And so, he kind of goes through this metamorphosis throughout the film where he's just like, I have to do this. I have to be Batman. I have to. But every villain that I take out is somehow avenging my parents because it was a villain. And in that series of Batman films, it was the Joker before he became the Joker that killed his parents. So, he's kind of like just reliving that. But he realizes that even by killing the Joker in the first film, it did not make him feel better. He did not heal from the death of his parents. And he even warns that to Chris O'Donnell's character, Dick Grayson, who eventually becomes Robin, of course, that, you can kill the person that killed your parents, but the pain doesn't die with them.
You make the kill. But your pain doesn't die with Harvey, it grows.
Basically, it's like a drug. It's your fix. Kind of like Dexter in a way. It's like I have to keep killing, but I'm going to kill for the greater good and not harm people that don't deserve it, And that's basically what he's pointing out. Is like you're just going to have to keep doing it over and over and over because you will never feel satisfied. And so that's what he's dealing with up to that point until he has that revelation. And what sucks, this is one of the major things that sucks about this Batman movie, is that they cut out the scene where he has the revelation as to why he is Batman. It's kind of a weird scene. It's kind of a creepy scene because he's basically embracing Batman. The way he does that is he's embracing this giant bat in front of him. And it's kind of made up, the scene is kind of put together sort of like the scene in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda tells Luke to go into the cave and he finds, this replica of Darth Vader and he kills it and it turns out that's his face in the mask, it's metaphor or whatever.
I don't care!
I hope I'm explaining this well. I don't feel like I am, but I do the best I can because I'm not a professional film critic. Thank you!
Oh, good for you!
And he embraces Batman, and so that's when he comes to the conclusion that he will be Batman Forever. And that's where the title of the film comes from, and you don't see it in the movie. That is we got to do another video on why Batman Forever is as messed up as it is. But that's not what this video is about. It's about how Val Kilmer portrayed Batman. And I'll say it again, before Christian Bale, I think, is regarded as this generation's Batman. He was the best one to portray the character. Robert Pattinson kind of gets it. Ben Affleck, not so much. I used to like Ben Affleck's Batman a lot more, but in retrospect, when you look back on all the actors that have played Batman, I just don't think Ben Affleck's holds up. I mean, that might be blasphemy, but that might be a statement that you'll say, how dare you, Hot Toddy, say that? But it's true, I don't feel like Ben Affleck's holds water. But then again, that's the DCEU. There's not a lot that holds up well with the DCEU. That's a whole different story.
I don't want no beef.
You want no beef?
You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
Well, the point I was getting to earlier with Iron Man and Thor, we've had one actor play those characters. We've had multiple people play Batman. Batman is sort of like the James Bond role. Like who's gonna play the Caped Crusader next? And, you know, it's been some odd choices. But Val Kilmer was a great choice. And he was just able to convey that sort of darkness that Bruce Wayne needed at that point in the film series. And it really worked well. I both wish that he had gone on to do Batman and Robin, but in a way I'm also glad that he didn't do Batman and Robin. I think he would have brought more gravitas to the role in that film, much like he did with Batman Forever. But Batman and Robin was just such a... If you thought Batman Forever was a goofy movie, Batman and Robin was beyond goofy. That was just like, you lost your mind, you're just going...
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
That movie, it was torture. Batman and Robin is torture. And I guess maybe that's, you know, when I don't remember if Val Kilmer said he didn't want to do the next movie or what happened, but they made basically like a multi-million-dollar cartoon out of Batman and Robin. Again, I'm getting off topic here. The point I'm trying to make is that Val Kilmer's Batman was crucial, I feel like, in the 90s, and in that particular set of Batman movies. It was a great transition from Michael Keaton and then kind of veering off. I don't want to say going into George Clooney, because George Clooney, love you, but your Batman stunk, okay?
You get the ice, I'll get the ice, man.
So you kind of forget that one, but it was a good overall arc that took us into the more darker, grittier Batman that we knew in the 2000s and eventually into the 2010s and 2020s. So I think it was a good start. And Val Kilmer was just so good in the role. He was the first, I could be wrong here, and if I am, sound off in the comments, but I'm pretty sure he's the first Batman to actually change his voice from when he's Bruce Wayne to Batman. He didn't, I don't think he used a voice changer like Christian Bale's Batman does, but when he was Bruce Wayne, his voice was a little higher. It was a little more suave, more sophisticated.
Tell me, Doctor, do you like the circus?
And then when he became Batman, he talked like this. This was Batman.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
So he knew to change his voice. That was something that Michael Keaton didn't do, and it was something that George Clooney definitely didn't do, and Adam West. Kevin Conroy, of course, R.I.P. as well, who was playing Batman in the animated series at the time. Of course, I don't count him in what I'm doing with. Obviously, he was a fantastic Batman in the voice of Batman in the animated series, but I don't really count him in this because he's a separate entity. But he used his same voice for Bruce Wayne and Batman as well. So it was interesting. It was an interesting take to hear Val Kilmer actually change his voice from Bruce Wayne to Batman, and it gave it a little bit more, mystery behind who Batman is, as opposed, and it created like those two separate characters. When Bruce Wayne was Batman and the Michael Keaton Batman, you knew it was Michael Keaton. Same with George Clooney. But with Val Kilmer, you could tell, you couldn't tell. If you didn't know right off the bat that Val Kilmer was playing Batman, you would say, who is that? Because he was so brooding and kind of, mysterious and dark that he brought it. He brought a really cool version of Batman to life that we hadn't really seen at that point. We would see later down the road. So, that's high praise for a movie that really was not that good at all. That's another thing, is that it's sad that particular Batman was kind of wasted with these 90s Batman movies. I think if Val Kilmer, if Christopher Nolan had done his Batman movies in the 90s, I think Val Kilmer would have been the choice, and I think Val Kilmer would have done the role justice throughout. And I think he would have been the standard. I think it would have been impossible to compete with that in the 2000s for them to do it again. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just my opinion. But I mean, if Val Kilmer had the chance to really just set loose and play the character, I think he would have, longer and in a different fashion, I think he would have been the standard for Batman, because he just knew how to bring that role to life in a way that really hadn't been done before. Val Kilmer was 2 parts debonair charm for Bruce Wayne and dark and mysterious for Batman. And it just worked. It just clicked really well. unlike some of the other performances in that movie.
Yes! Yes, 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 oh, happy day!
There's a lot of things that you could get mad about with that film. Jim Carrey was not wasted. I think he was a highlight of the film as well. But there was a lot of things wrong with Batman Forever. But the one thing that universally they got right was the actor to play Batman. And that was the late, great Val Kilmer. And, just another reason why we're all going to really miss him, because he was just a great actor. And, I grew up seeing him in some fantastic movies. Like I said, Tombstone and Top Gun. Even though Top Gun came out before I was born, I still watched it as a kid, and I loved Maverick. I loved that they brought him back for that film, even though he was not doing well at the time. And, it's just a beautiful thing. And he's done a ton of other great movies. Top Secret is a great film. If you've never seen that, that's done by the Zucker brothers, who also brought us Airplane and the Naked Gun movies. Great flick. It was actually his acting debut, Top Secret was. So go check that one out as well. But yeah, other than Christian Bale, in my opinion, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better Batman than Val Kilmer. I rest my case. I'm Batman.